Howdy folks, and welcome to the Daily Coin. My name is Rory, and today is Wednesday, May the 25th, 2016, and I have the great honor of welcoming to the show for the first time Mr. Mike Gleason. And not only is Mike Gleason one of the owners of Money Metals Exchange, he's also the director, and he conducts a weekly podcast that you can find every Friday at moneymetals.com. And we're certainly glad that you were able to join us today, Mike, because we've got a lot to cover, and we've been exchanging a few emails the past few days, and this is all about silver and all about what's going on out in the market. And let's just start with some of the items that we were discussing just before we started the show. And I want to start with one of my favorites, and that's the 90% silver. And you guys recently acquired a significant amount of 90% coin. People refer to it as junk silver. I can't stand that, but I don't see any silver as junk. But explain to me what happened with that and where we're at with the 90% coin and what you see in that particular part of the market going forward.
Yeah, it's interesting, Roy. We have not been able to do any sort of promotions on 90% silver for quite some time, several years. And just over the last month or so, we found ourselves buying back a little bit more than we were selling. One or two customers were unloading a good amount of it back to us on buybacks, which we're always grateful for. We love to do buyback business as well. And so we ended up with a decent amount of it and figured we'd do a little promotion and try to move some of that inventory, as we often do when we get an excess of some item. And we blew through it very quickly. I think most folks had not seen a promotion from any dealer in a long time on 90%, so they jumped at the chance when we reduced the premiums on that item, and we quickly ran through what we had there that we'd been buying back recently from those couple of customers. So we went out to the wholesale market to look to procure a lot more to keep the promotion going, as it always is around here. When you got something that's going well from a promotion standpoint, we like to keep it running as long as possible. And we seem to clean out the wholesale market very quickly on the 90% market. So to me, that tells me that there's some pretty good tightness there. There maybe was a little bit of excess, and we found two of our main wholesalers that had a good amount of it, but a nice promotion really blew through that very quickly. And at the end of the week, both of those wholesalers said, "Sorry, I don't have any more. It's going to be another week or so before I can get any more for you, and the premium's going to be elevated." So that was the end of that. But it just tells me that even though there may be excess in a short term situation, it's not very long lasting as soon as the buyers swoop in.
So it's just really they just happened to have, like yourself, they just happened to have a small amount of excess, and now that's all gone.
Yeah, exactly. And might be a week or two before the market sort of gets back up to good levels again of inventory. And the 90% market, as you know, Rory, is one of those where it's a good bellwether item in terms of gauging the amount of inventory out there in the market, inventory of silver. 90% is a little bit different. Most of it comes through the local coin shops. A lot of people, the man on the street that has silver will sell it back to the local coin shop. The local coin shops kind of aggregate it, and then they sell it back to people like us, big dealers or wholesalers, and you end up accumulating it. But in a lot of situations, the local coin shop, if they buy it back and then silver drops the next day, they're going to sit on it. They don't necessarily hedge their inventory like a company like us might. So they want to wait for that price to go back up before all of a sudden they're going to sell it on their end. If they don't have a buyer walking through the door to buy it from them, they'll try to flip it to a wholesaler or large dealer like us. So it's an interesting item. As prices drop, we always see the premiums of that go up. We see the supply dry up as prices fall. And of course, over the last several years, we've been in a low price environment here for silver, and that's resulted in a lot less won't say junk silver, but 90% silver out there in the market. I know you don't like that phrase, and I don't like it either, but sometimes it slips out.
Oh, I hear it all the time. I just prefer not to use it myself. I mean, people are welcome to say whatever they would like. Um, Customer movement. You mentioned customers coming in. Are you seeing a lot of new customers at this point, or is it your established customer base, or what are you seeing as far as new customers in particular? Is what I'm really interested in.
Yeah, I guess we're probably a little bit different in that we really go after new customers. We're actually looking to expand the pie, not just take the existing customers, precious metals buying public out there, and just cannibalize some other dealer. Really, what we're looking for is to expand that market. We gear a lot of our marketing towards first time buyers. We have some packages that are specific for those folks, and that's done well for us. So we tend to get a lot of new customers, I guess, just on an ongoing basis. But as it stands, say now versus several years ago, I guess on a percentage basis, it might be down a little bit, but we're still seeing a pretty good steady flow of customers come into the market. And we'll continue to gear our efforts towards those folks. But right now we are perhaps in a little bit, I wouldn't say a soft spot, because business is pretty steady, but it's not spectacular. It's nothing like, say, last summer, July, August, which were two of the bigger months probably with Money Metals Exchange and any dealer out there. It was fantastic in terms of the buying volume. Couldn't even get enough silver to supply it, of course, after that big price drop there. And I guess this time about a year ago, and a lot of the black swan events that we had there with the Greek crisis and the Chinese stock market collapse, a lot of things driving silver demand, gold demand last summer. But it's been a steady flow of new customers right now. But I do think a lot of folks are still complacent out there about what's really happening underneath the surface.
As far as the silver market as a whole, Mike, you mentioned what happened last summer. Ever since then, the U.S. Mint has been on what's called allocated sales. I call them ration sales, because that's what they're doing, is they're rationing the volume of product that's available. And since June of last year, June of 2015, the sales have been rationed, and doesn't look like they're going to stop that anytime soon. And there seems to be enough eagles and American silver eagles in the market right now to satisfy everything, but with just one slight little glitch of any kind, it seems like that inventory would dry up. And how do you see this whole rationing program playing out in regards to that? I mean, I don't want to get into your backstock or any of that, and as far as how you guys operate your business, but if something were to happen, I mean, it seems like that the market would just do exactly like it did last year, just dry up.
Yeah, exactly. So Silver Eagles, without a doubt, is probably the most challenging product to manage from an inventory perspective. Right now, premiums are low at the wholesale level, so it's one of those times where you want to stock up and kind of keep them away for a rainy day, because it's only a matter of time before one, we get kind of another price drop, or just some heating up of the market that gets a lot more buying interest, and no matter what it could be. Obviously, there's a lot of black swans that seem to be circling overhead, and any of those could land at any point. But with Silver Eagles, the U.S. Mint, of course, has shown a pretty big ineptitude to meet the public's demand. Right now, there should be no reason that they are having wholesalers on allocation. I'm quite baffled by that, other than the fact that I think we've seen it enough now that, in last summer being the most recent example, where when the tightness does come and the buying activity is frenetic, you don't have enough Silver Eagles to sell, and you wish you had more. And a lot of folks out there, especially at the wholesale level, they are sitting on a pretty good chunk of them at the moment, because they know that they can get more for them when the product gets tight here. If we did have something, some sort of market event happen that drives a lot of new activity. So it's one of those items that makes sense to be putting some inventory dollars into because of lack of smooth fluidity with that item, I guess, is one way to say it. The U.S. Mint just has had so many issues over the past several years when we have these spikes and they just can't meet it. And I think one of the big is getting into a different topic here, but they do not go out and get more suppliers of the blanks. I mean, the issue is always getting enough blanks.
Yep.
And they have a ridiculous process for becoming a blank supplier. And if you're some private mint who is minting, say, 1 ounce silver rounds or 10 ounce silver bars, there's very little incentive for them to go out and add a lot of machinery to be a blank supplier for the U.S. Mint. So they still end up with just these couple of suppliers of blanks who can't meet the demand. And then the U.S. Mint, for some reason, does not want to stockpile enough blanks, which is what they should be doing right now. They should have everybody going full bore and producing as many as they can to put them away for a rainy day, because it's only a matter of time before we have another situation where we can't get enough silver eagles out of them. But they won't do that. They have a very difficult process for these other mints to get signed up to become blank suppliers. And then also, why would you want to? They also don't give you any sort of guarantee as a private mint. They won't guarantee a certain amount of ounces or blanks from you each month. They're only going to go to you when the other guys can't supply all of it. Well, if you're a private mint and you're going gangbusters, meeting all of your retailer demand for 1 ounce silver rounds or 10 ounce silver bars, why do I want to, I guess, screw those guys to do business with the U.S. Mint, because I'm already going to be busy during that period. So anyway, it's kind of an interesting situation, and I don't see things changing with it much, I guess, is sort of the summary there. I think we're going to be continuing to deal with just a very few number of blank suppliers that can't keep up with the demand when those activity spikes happen, and we'll always be dealing with this situation with Silver Eagles.
Well, and part of it, and I'd want to give a comment, and then I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. I think that part of it is that they don't want to sell any more than they're already selling. It was never intended, the American Silver Eagle was never intended to be a hedge against inflation or currency destruction, which is what we're faced with, both of those. So as far as them allocating or rationing the sales, now they can manage how much they sell, because there's only so much silver that's produced each year. And as you well know, the vast majority of it goes into manufacturing, never to be seen again. And if it is seen again, it's a very, very difficult, long, arduous process to recover it. And at this point, it's getting closer to being cost effective, but not really. When the price, or if the exchange rate for silver goes to, say, $30 an ounce, then it becomes cost effective to recycle it. But at $15 or $16, $17, it's really not very cost effective. So it just goes away. And so there's only so much, as the phrase you used a minute ago, the pie, there's only so much silver pie out there. So, and if they're all of a sudden, if they doubled, from 47 million to 94 million ounces, that's got to come from somewhere. It's going to come from another section of that pie. And I think that that's part of it. Another aspect of it is to keep silver news out of the news. So if the sales are rationed, there's not this whole, the U.S. Mint is sold out. That whole meme goes away, because they're only selling 1 million a week, and that's it. That's it. You're not getting any more than that. So,
yeah, they definitely have a perverse incentive there to not supply the market with everything that they can. Obviously, exactly. They I think probably very reluctantly even mint gold and silver coins for investment purposes to begin with. We all know what the government really feels about precious metals. So yeah, it's an interesting dichotomy there.
Yeah, and like I said, they've had 3 years now, back to back to back of sales, record sales. So I think that they're trying to manage to that number. That's my personal feeling. I think that if we do see a new sales record for U.S. Silver Eagles this year, that it will be a very muted number. That it will be 48, 49 million maybe, but I don't think they're going to blow through it, at 10 or 12%. I really don't. So
Yeah, it's been a gradual increase the last few years as they have been setting these records, and it looks like we're on pace for that type of volume that you're talking about, upper 40 millions. We are seeing the Silver Maple Leafs catch up, though. I was just looking at reports on that. They did over 10 million Silver Maple Leafs in the first quarter, so that gap is definitely narrowing between Silver Eagle sales and Silver Maple Leaf sales. So that's interesting to see as well.
now, is your take on what's happening with the raw product as far as the mining situation? Do you keep up with that at all? Is that on your radar?
Yeah, a little bit. It's obviously one step removed. We get into it a lot on the weekly podcast that we do here. We've got, I think, mine supply is certainly dwindling here in North America. We've seen that for sure. There's less silver being produced out of, say, Mexico, which of course is, I think, the primary silver miner in the world.
Yep.
And the U.S. is lagging as well. We're now a net importer of silver. So to me, I think we're going to have to see higher prices. I mean, you alluded to the economic viability of recycling, and certainly you're going to have to see higher silver prices in order for that to make sense. And if the mine supply is not going to be there to meet demand, then something's going to have to give, and eventually the free market will win out there, and supply-demand fundamentals will actually matter, which, of course, we've all been sort of beating our head against the wall over the last few years and wondering why it doesn't seem to. But yeah, I think that day is coming, and people just need to hang in there and understand that markets can't be manipulated forever, and eventually supply-demand factors will rule the day.
That would be different. if fundamentals actually mattered,
yeah,
it would certainly change things. I want to ask you just one or two more questions there, Mike, and then I'll let you get back to your morning. And as far as what you guys are seeing, you said that your primary focus at Money Metals is on new customers, and as such, your established customers, are you seeing any large sales coming through, or some of the new people, are they making large scale purchases, or how is that aspect working?
Yeah, certainly we are seeing a pretty good uptick in the, I guess we'll call them the 6-figure and up sales here over the last 5-6 weeks versus, say, where it was the end of last year and maybe even early this year, before people kind of started to recognize that, hey, it looks like we're going to be looking at a good year in metals, and my stocks are looking more and more overvalued as the days go by. So there is a lot of nervousness out there, I think, among the investing public, especially those that that we deal with, who sort of recognize what's happening, not necessarily the ones that have their heads in the sand and think the stocks are just going to go to the moon without interruption. But we are seeing more and more folks liquidating some of their stock portfolio and putting that into precious metals. I mean, I guess when you get down to it, the average American is just woefully under invested in precious metals and really does not have much diversification whatsoever. I think all stats are that I read is in the neighborhood of maybe 1% of folks actually have an ounce of gold or silver to their name. And we're seeing that trend certainly pick up as more and more people are getting aware of the issues with the dollar and feeling more and more cautious about what's happening with our monetary system. So we are seeing some larger purchases as a result. Folks are, like I said, just getting nervous out there. I think about what's going to happen for a while now. I think most have been sort of waiting for that shoe to drop, and we haven't necessarily seen it. I guess we got a glimpse of it, say, last summer after the Chinese stock market collapsed. We had a rough stock market here in August, September, I guess it was, and that drove a lot of fear buying. But generally speaking, in the Western world and in America especially, I think what drives precious metals buying is the fear trade. They talk about over in Asia, it's the love trade, but here in the States, it's the fear trade.
Yeah, in Asia, it's the exact opposite of what's going on here. I mean, they just naturally, it's almost part of their DNA. It seems like. I mean, you just acquire gold and silver throughout your life, and that's just the way that it is. I mean, that's just what you do.
Yeah,
So,
very different here. You still, when I tell people what I do, a lot of times I get a lot of blank stares, and people say, "Wow, that people actually buy that stuff." And it's like, yeah, believe it or not, they do. There's a few of us, crazies out there that do that.
do you ever hand them a gold coin and say, "Yeah, here's what I do"? I mean,
I do silver. Maybe not gold, but yeah, I do hand out silver. It's always fun. And actually, when people get some silver in their hands, they do often light up. I think they do recognize that hey, this has some real value, and then you can kind of see the wheels spinning in the back of their head there as they start to think about it.
Especially if they're a little bit older and they remember when silver was actually part of the currency here in the United States. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Then you can really see the wheels spinning. It's like, oh yeah, this is like real money.
Yep, exactly. The younger generation, I guess my generation and younger, it's not a lot of folks are thinking that way. But as I mentioned, our mission here is to popularize precious metals ownership in America, and we're trying to educate. That's, I guess, why we're big into the education side of things. We put out a lot of content, and we're trying to get folks to recognize and wake up and just understand that they should have some of this stuff for certain contingencies, and even if we don't ever have to use it for barter, it's still an investment in something that's never going to zero. It's not somebody else's liability like you have with anything that's paper based. So that's really the mission here and the goal, and slowly but steadily we're making inroads there.
And
but still a lot more to go.
Yes, but you guys are doing a great job. And Mike, last question, a little more along the lines of personal. And how do you personally define success, and why do you do what you do?
Well, yeah, good question. I guess in terms of business success, we want to see more and more new customers into the market. Personally, I want to feel good about what I'm doing every day, and I do. There's nothing in this world that I would rather be doing here. I think we're providing a valuable service for folks, and I think that you'll get that same sort of attitude with everybody that works here. And I think that's one reason why we've been successful. But just trying to educate folks and try to get them to recognize what's happening in the world, and don't be complacent. The old Boy Scout method there. If you're needing something, you'll be glad you have it versus having it and not needing it. And I think that's how a lot of folks should be looking at precious metals, and really more as insurance. And it is more money than it is an investment. And it's a fun way to make a living. We're having a great time here, and look forward to the next 5, 10, 15 years and see what this market will bring as that 1% of Americans that know anything or own any precious metals becomes 2, 3, and 5%. I think it's going to be really exciting.
I couldn't agree more. It is a very interesting and very exciting time to be alive. That is for sure. And we have been speaking with Mike Gleason, and he is the director over at Money Metals Exchange, and you can find all of his work, including his weekly podcast, on Fridays at moneymetals.com. Mike, it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to speaking with you in the not too distant future.
Yeah, thanks so much, Roy. Great to be on with you, and we're fans of yours as well. And thanks for all the work that you do, and appreciate the time today.
Thank you so much, and like I said, we'll speak with you soon.
Take care. Thanks.